Okay, so you have a plane flying with the wind and against the wind. So when it says it has a tailwind, that means that the wind is behind the plane pushing it. So you're flying with the wind when you have a tailwind. You're going in the same direction as the wind, so the wind is pushing you faster than you normally would go. So when you're flying with the wind, your rate is the rate of the airplane plus the rate of the wind, which is pushing the airplane. When you're flying against the wind, you have the rate of the airplane minus the rate of the wind for your rate. So when it says find the speed of the plane in still air, that means A, find the rate of the plane if the wind wasn't blowing. And when it says find the speed of the wind, that's W. So it says the plane can go 960 miles in 2 hours when it's flying with a tailwind or with the wind, and it can fly that same trip 2 hours and 40 minutes, so 2 2/3 hours when it's going against the wind, same distance there. So you've got two equations because rate times time equals distance. So you've got 2 times a plus W is equal to 960, and you have 2 2/3, which is 8/3, a minus W equals 960. And it might be tempting to write 2a plus W times 8/3 times a minus W is equal. You might want to set those two things equal, but if you do that, you'll only have one equation with two unknowns. So you need to get just these two equations and you need to solve for A and W. So the first thing I'm going to do just to make everything simpler is divide that first equation through by 2 because there's no need to have that 2 when it's just making things more complicated. So A plus W equals 480 for the first equation, and then I'm going to multiply the second equation through by 3/8 because I just want to get rid of that. That gives me A minus W is equal to 360. And so now I can use elimination and I'll have 2A is equal to 840. So A is 420. So the rate of the airplane is going to be 420 miles per hour. The rate of the wind is going to be 60 miles per hour. Okay, Dylan invests $15,000 in 3 different stocks. So I'm going to call the amount he invests in each stock A, B, and C. So stock A is the stock that loses 8% after a year. Stock B is the stock that had a return of 3.2%. And a third stock is C, 5.8% he got on that. So if you invested $15,000 total, that's A plus B plus C is equal to 15,000. His return after a year is $274. This means the amount of money that he actually made out of this investment. So he lost 8% on stock A, which means that if we're going to add up the amounts of his returns, that's going to be negative 0.08A because he lost money on that stock. Stock B, he earned 3.2%, so 0.032B. That's a positive amount that he got back. And then C, he earned 5.8%, so 0.058 of C. That's a return he also got. So if you add up all those, you get $274. And then last of all, they tell us that he invested $2,000 more in the second stock than in the third stock. So he invested more in B than in C. So B is 2,000 more than C. So I'm going to go ahead and substitute the third equation into the first equation just so I don't have to take quite so many steps. I'm going to substitute 2,000 plus C in for B in the first equation. So A plus 2,000 plus C is equal to 15,000. I'm going to multiply the second equation through by 1,000 to get rid of all those decimals. So that's going to give me negative 80A plus 32B plus 58C is equal to 274,000. And now I'm going to substitute into that equation 2,000 plus C for B also. So that's negative 80A plus 32 times 2,000 plus C plus 58C is equal to 274,000. I've got A plus 2C, and I'm subtracting 2,000, so I've got 13,000 over here. And then for this equation, I've got negative 80A, and I've got 32C plus 58C, that's going to be 90C. And then plus 64,000 there equals 274,000. And I'm going to go ahead and subtract 64,000 on both sides. So if I do that, I'm going to have 210,000 on the right. So those are my two equations. And to solve this, I am going to use elimination. So I'm going to multiply that first equation through by 80 so that the A's will cancel. Okay, so that is going to be 80A plus 160C is equal to 1,040,000. And then you've got 80A plus 90C equals 210,000. So that gives us 250C is equal to 1,250,000. So C is going to equal 5,000. So he invested $5,000 in stock C, and he invested 2,000 more than that in stock B. So that's going to be 7,000. And then the rest adds up to 15,000. So that's 12,000. So in A, he invested 3,000.